Well, I see a lot of videos of fire in the rain and whatnot. How do you get dry tinder? And in our area, fatwood is the to-go thing to do to get started anyway. This old log laying here, and there's one behind the camera that has gobs of fatwood. But get a piece off of there, and then it smells so good. And then shave it down, get some fuzz on it, and a ferro rod or match, lighter, whatever, will get this going. So fatwood is my first choice. This old tipped over stump has gobs of good fatwood. This is prime stuff here because it's more solid through than some of the others. So I'm going to collect some of this. It's starting to rain on me now again. Then I'll show you some other things I get. Okay, this hollowed out tree with a cover up here where the tree had fell. Inside could be a real gold mine of dry stuff. Even things on the outside, because they're protected by this if it hasn't rained too much. But inside, watch out for spiders, but you can find, now that is wet right there, but you can find stuff that's dry if you look at it. That piece is wet. Here's a piece that isn't though. This is fatwood. But nice and thin. Easy to work down. And then look down for the duff down lower. See if you can find any stuff down there, like really dry pine needles, things of that sort. Your pine needles, see, are dry right here, and pine needles are always good to mix. I have trouble with pine needles at times, but I'm going to collect some here and just get a bunch of stuff and show you different ways you can start a fire in the rain or the wet. It just got through raining, it's sprinkled a little bit, but I'm trying to show you some places where you can look. So look for dead branches that are protected. Now these here, see how it bends and it doesn't break? Some of these will even break, but they're too wet. But look for stuff that's really dry looking in the first place and snaps when you break it. See, this bends, so not good. There's one. Any of these that look dry, feel dry, and snap are the ones you want to get. Sometimes you can't even get this stuff, it's so wet. And it's been raining and so much humidity. But look for that if you can as well. So look under fallen trees. Here's a lot of dead or pine needles that are really dry. So take advantage of that, collect them. This tree goes all the way to right there where I can find dry stuff, way up there where that bark is. So I'm going to collect some of these dead pine needles. So for bigger stuff, I found this piece of dead standing off of this other pine that would make some really nice wood. At least you could get your fire going and then get that dried out as it sits by the fire. Over here is the creek, and I would stay away from stuff that's close to the creek just because it draws up moisture, which is pretty normal and you'd understand. So I'm still looking for dry stuff. So stuff on the north side where the rain doesn't hit, like these dead pine needles, there's some pretty well broken up stuff right there, and this stuff here. So look for north side of stuff or where the wind and rain doesn't get. Ooh, this is really nice and dry here. This is great stuff. More pine needles that are dry. Yeah, this stuff is really dry. It's been protected by the tree here. There's some fat wood inside this here, but plenty of pine needles that you can collect. So north side of things, or wherever the rain and wind gets protected, is really good. Okay, I'm working with the fat wood right now, and this part right here is just pretty much solid, and if you get some scrapings and curls with this, even if it's wet, which it is, it will light. And I'll demonstrate that in a little bit here, but first just getting some. But you can see that that stuff is prime, and even this dead branch I found, you can get some nice curls from it as well. And just get a bunch. They say a little and a lot, and so you want little stuff but a lot of it, and just keep working. Prep might take a while, but it'll get you the fire that you want as well. So I'm working with some of these pieces of fat wood I got. This piece here isn't as good as that one, but still you can get some nice curls off of it, and they'll light, and I'll show you that next. So I have a lighter, and I'm using all the stuff that I find locally here, but you know, you have to have a lighter, ferro rod or something. And just to show you, this is just a plain stick and how well it lights up. So I want to put it out so I can use it later. And the fat wood is pretty amazing stuff. Let's see if I can do it with ferro rod here. The part that's scraped off. There we go. See that? I don't want it to burn either right now. But that's wet, and that'll still go. You saw how easy it was with the ferro rod. Ferro rods are nice because if they get wet, you can still use them. If a lighter goes bad on you, you can't use it. Matches get wet, you can't use it. So I would have at least 4 ways of starting a fire and to get things going. And I'm making sure my stuff here that's off camera right here is dry on a dry place. So I'm going to get this prepped up and show you now how we can get a full-fledged fire going. Okay, I'm breaking up this stuff into smaller pieces of that dry piece I found inside that hollow log. Getting pencil size and various sizes here. This part takes a while, but believe me, if you don't do good fire prep, you'll pay for it in the end. Even if you get a flame going, you may not get a full-fledged fire. This is kind of the pithy stuff was in another log, but I'll break it up and see if I can get some smaller stuff with it too. Yeah, this is some punk wood right in there, which will hold the ember too if we have a problem. So I'm breaking up these pieces, getting them ready. And various sizes, and I don't have enough yet, but you can see I'm working at it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to get a little bit more fat wood thinned out too. Okay, I'm ready to try my fire. What I got here is a dry base. I got some twigs and sticks that kind of medium size that aren't dry yet, but hopefully the flames will dry things out. I'm going to make a brace here with some old wet logs that I found in the campfire before, so I can put over that in a minute or two. These are dry. This is my dry stuff, and then this is the pine needles. So let's see how it all works here. Wind's blowing now. Tell you the truth, I'm not used to using a lighter. I use a ferro rod. I probably should. Get some other flames going here. This is fat wood. Put some pine needles over it, kind of get it flared up. Then I'll put my dry stuff over that. These are the dry pine needles I found underneath that log. Here's a piece of fat wood I'm going to lay on top here. Now here's my dry twigs I found. By the way, you find branches off the trees that are dry. The ones that don't have bark are better than the ones that do, because the bark holds in the moisture longer. So now I got the fire going in the center. I got this stuff drying out here in the sides that I can use for fuel later. Still got some more wood. So success so far, but I don't consider it a success until you got a sustainable fire, which means it continues to burn for a while, and you know, you can put on semi-wet stuff like those right there and still keep it going. Well, that feels good. It's kind of wet out here. Here's a nice piece of fat wood I'm going to save. Here's a piece of wood that's dry. But you see, I used a lighter, but a ferro rod is something I'm actually more used to, and more people have luck with lighters, I suppose. But anyway, I had a couple of means right here besides some more ways to get it going in the truck. But I think I'll have a sustainable fire now. You can see the flames are pretty high. It's going to start drying out this stuff on each side, and I'll be able to keep getting bigger and bigger stuff from branches around here. So hopefully that shows you a few things that you can get. There's a little mist falling in the sky still, so that didn't help my stuff. What you usually should do is find a big piece of bark and lay over your dry stuff that you're preparing for the fire. But it wasn't that misty that I didn't have to worry. So I'll tune you back in when we get a bigger fire here. Real quick now, you can see that I got a lot of stuff over the fire, and the center part is the dry stuff, and I got some stuff on top. That's not all the way dry, but it will be from the flames right soon. So that's what I'm hoping to accomplish. So I call this a sustainable fire now. I have my ones that are even wet a little bit, getting drier, and so anyway, that's how you continue, and continue to get rounds that are not quite as dry. Keep drying them out on the side and then put them over the top and they'll burn. Well, you can see the road here, how wet it is. I'm going to take you on a little walk here, show you some dry stuff sometimes. This stuff looks dry, but look how it doesn't break off. So you go over here to some of these places and you'll find a couple different things. This branch here is bark laden, and see how unbreakable it is. This piece will break. What you want to watch for is this stuff right here. This stuff that doesn't have any bark on it at all. That stuff will break up so easily. Let me put the camera down. That is what you want. The bark doesn't hold the moisture in. You get some really nice stuff that way. So look for that. Look for stuff that's been in the sunlight, like this tree here has been. Try not to go in the shadows. Go on the underside of logs where it's dry and been protected. Looking around here as the camera goes, I don't see a whole lot that you would look for right here that would be dry. We'd have to go where there'd be those limbs that would break off easier. Anyway, it's pretty sloppy wet up here. It rained good, and really glad it did because it was so dusty up here. But now it's a lot more pleasant. So for stashing your wood, find a bunch of bark and cover it, or if you find a hollow log to put it inside, or a log like this where it's really dry underneath, and maybe put some limbs or something on each side to break it from the rain in case it does. But it'd be nice to keep it dry for the morning wood or whatever the case may be, or if you're coming back up in this area or hiking through or whatever the scenario is, if you stash some wood that you can keep dry, then when you get here, all the better. This log, by the way, that's fat wood all the way through. It's really nice hard stuff. We just got abundance of fat wood around here. But anyway, think about those things and think about the future so you plan for your next fire.